There are a ton of movies released every single year, right? We're talking well over 150 movies released roughly every single year. I've heard as high as 50,000 feature-length movies are made every single year. You won't ever see the vast majority of them, but that's how many I've heard. I don't know how true that is anymore. I heard that like a long time ago. But either way you look at it, movies are made constantly, whether it's for theatrical, television, streaming, whatever. Movies are always being produced. Sometimes you're good. Most of the time they're not. But then you get something like Parasite from Bong Joon Ho. And that is one that's been blowing up because people are talking about this movie and they're talking about it from the perspective of best film of the year and everyone needs to see it. Now, while I haven't seen it yet, I'm in no way surprised by this news here, which is apparently they're in talks with HBO to make a limited series based upon the film. So the Korean film is being adapted, potentially adapted to HBO, instead of being just officially remade, which is both good and bad, to be honest with you, right? It's interesting to look at it from that perspective, to see a story like this told over a limited series versus just being a crappy American remake. And we've seen crappy American remakes. Look at The Grudge. The Grudge was rebooted again for some reason in America. It came out this past week and it got an F cinema score and people hated it. So let's find out what's going on here because this should be pretty fascinating. All right. So it says, in a twist that would feel right at home in Parasite, Bong Joon Ho and Adam McKay are joining forces for HBO limited series based on the Palme d'Or winning thriller. The South Korean auteur and McKay are currently in talks with the premium cable network and CJ Entertainment, the film studio behind Parasite. IndieWire reported last year that CJ Entertainment was eyeing an English-language remake of Parasite, but at the time it seemed like such a remake would be a feature film. Now it appears that Bong is eager to adapt Parasite as a limited series, and McKay has a history with HBO as a producer of Succession. And that just won a Golden Globe, or it was nominated for a bunch of them too. So, that would make a lot of sense. He has a good working relationship with HBO. HBO is going to be needing to make a lot of original content for HBO Max, and they're going to want to appeal to a bunch of different types of people. And this is why they're going to be spreading everything out across the board. So let's find out more. Per Deadline's report, the Parasite series was hotly pursued by top streamers, with Bong opting to set up project at HBO and team up with Succession executive producer McKay, who was under a first-look deal with HBO and HBO Max. Bong and McKay will serve as executive producers. Then it goes through. The project is a co-production of Kate Street Productions. All right. So they're basically just setting this up right here with everything. Now, the Parasite has had its world premiere last May at the Cannes Film Festival, where it was awarded the Palme d'Or. The prize made Bong Joon Ho, the first South Korean filmmaker to win the prize. Neon released Parasite in U.S. theaters this fall, and it's gone on to gross over $23 million, making it one of the biggest foreign releases at the domestic box office ever. Parasite is his first $100 million grosser worldwide, and the film's current total is at $130. And that's backed up here by Box Office Mojo, which shows us that it's doing pretty good. $130 million worldwide. International is where it took home most of the cash, but $23 million domestic. And the movie's rated R and pulling in that kind of cash. So it's really interesting. And if you don't know what the movie is, so it says here that all employed Key-taek and his family take a peculiar interest in the wealthy and glamorous parks as they integrate themselves into their lives and get entangled in an unexpected incident. Now, I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard very, very good things about it. And coming over here to Rotten Tomatoes, if you want to believe this as being a valid metric, shows us that it's sitting at a 99% in the tomato meter with 349 tomato verified critics and a 93% off of 3,100 verified ratings, verified users. It means people who paid through Fandango to watch the movie. And that is really interesting, isn't it? To see that this movie has done very well, how it's crossed a lot of the international borders, how people really seem to like what it is. And they want to move this thing over to English-speaking countries because, well, this is how remakes work. Personally, I think a limited series that's a remake over at HBO is kind of a dumb idea, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I get why they want to do it. If you look at like Snowpiercer is getting a TV series over at TNT, and I don't remember if that's a remake or if that's continuing the story. But, something like that, I think makes more sense in the story of people who become like, kind of a take on society and how it all kind of comes together. But this is one that I think is going to be different than, let's say, the Spike Lee remake of Old Boy. Old Boy made its rounds through through like cult hits here in the United States, as well as doing well internationally. Again, through the same, discovered quite frequently on home video or on cable, things like that. And they built up a fan base. So when they did the Spike Lee remake starring James Brolin and Elizabeth Olsen, they thought that it would connect with the audiences. Turns out it didn't. You rarely ever find yourself in a situation where there's a good American remake of a movie, right? Scorsese's remake of Infernal Affairs with The Departed in '06 was a very good remake because it was Scorsese tackling it very, very, very appropriately. Even with McKay and Bong Joon Ho behind this, it could still go terribly, terribly wrong. Because it's something that I think needs to be experienced in its home language, in its home culture. I'm going to see the movie as soon as I can, and I'm not against watching this kind of remake. I just find it to be, I don't want to say lazy, but I just find it to be kind of unnecessary. And why not let the audiences see the movie the way it was originally made? Why not let them see it, from that perspective? And I always kind of feel these remakes are just treating people like they're stupid because they don't actually watch, like because the expectation there is that people aren't going to go and watch, independent subtitled films. And I think people out there would if they're given the opportunity to. But when you do something like this, you want to do an American remake of something, an English language remake, it just comes across as lazy. And at this point in time, Hollywood day after day is just getting lazier and lazier and lazier. But anyway, I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. I'm sure many of you out there will disagree with me. You'll probably say this is an excellent idea. You want to see it, and I'm totally cool with that. And I'm totally going to watch it. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It's like these remakes are very tough to do. Look at like Let the Right One In, and then the Matt Reeves Let Me In. I felt that was a good remake, even though I still prefer the original to Matt Reeves' version. Look at Rec, which was a 2007 Spanish horror film that they remade into Quarantine. And Rec is one of my all-time favorite horror movies. And Quarantine was pure garbage, even though it was almost shot for shot the same movie. So it's that kind of thing. It just depends on how they handle it. It depends on the satiristic take on society. I don't know, but you guys tell me your thoughts, your opinions. If you made it this far, type Parasite into the comment box so I know. And please like the video, subscribe, support on Patreon, links below. I'll talk to you all later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.